Hey everybody, welcome to this Pink Cloud. I am DJ Kelly Reverb. We are a show that is about multiple pathways to recovery, mental health, all that good stuff. I feel slightly crusty today from the playa, just fresh back from Burning Man, so that was exciting. But I'm excited to have my friend that we actually met on Instagram, and because we're both producers, and him and I started chatting back and forth, and I'm excited that he's actually on today, and it's my good friend Aizaz. How are you, bud?
I'm doing amazing, and Kelly, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having this chat. And
Yeah.
for my first time being on a YouTube podcast kind of situation, so
Oh,
I'm very
nice.
honored.
You're a rookie.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like it.
It's rookie is kind of, I would say, a situation where there's always a first time. You got to
Yeah,
start.
exactly. Well, like it was my first time at Burning Man, so I was a
Mhm.
rookie.
Well, you made it out. That's all that matters.
Yeah, yeah. I made it. I made it out alive, and we're both alive, and that's what matters, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, if you get a chance, be sure like, subscribe to the podcast. Like I said, this Pink Cloud, and we're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, all that good. So YouTube, importantly. Anyway, so like, let's get into your backstory, and then kind of your journey, and then we'll talk about your recovery and mental health ongoing throughout your journey.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, I moved to the US from Pakistan back in 2017 for school, and I'm going for my master's, but I came for my undergrad.
Okay.
And my whole thing was basically studying computer science. And fast forward to 2020 when COVID hit,
Right.
and basically my whole lifestyle consisted of socializing, enjoying, and then kind of making, like, finishing school assignments and all that basically took up my day.
Right.
And in 2020, when the lockdown happened, it was me and one other guy in the college dorms, so that's who we all were over there. And by that time, when the whole COVID thing started, I also got a back injury while working out. So now
Oh.
I'm bed rested, and I'm also all by myself in the college dorms.
Yeah, because
So
you basically don't have like your family's in Pakistan,
yeah,
right?
yeah, that's
So
correct.
so you have like no, you're a college student and you're at the dorm and that's your house.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. But hey, it was
yeah,
a great house to be in.
right.
And so basically, during that time, I'm like, okay, now I need some other form of entertainment or other form of activities to do because I'm basically in bed all day. So
Mm-hmm.
funny enough, 5 months in, a guy moved into my next room who was a DJ, and I
Oh,
would
okay.
suddenly, like, time to time, play around with his decks, and I'm like, this kind of cool. So I kind of start dabbling into it.
Right. Do we know this guy or do you want to shout him out?
Oh yeah, of course. I was gonna tell the whole story and then
Oh, yeah,
definitely
go
give
ahead.
him
Sorry. Yeah.
the words. So it was like, first of all, basically, I start playing around with his decks, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this as a DJ. Like, sometimes you mix in an extended mix, and then you gotta stand there for till the track finishes, right?
Yeah.
And personally, me, who's like, at that moment, kind of seeking a lot of activity,
Mm-hmm.
it got a little mundane for me. So, and then, now I'm going to mention him. Shout out to DJ Stevie. He basically told me, hey, why don't you start producing?
Right.
It's better than DJing. So that's
Sure.
how I got into producing. And I started producing in 2020. In 2021, I actually started finishing full tracks. And that was also a time I graduated from college. So I was working full time. I had more time on my hands,
Right.
and that's how in 2022 I sent a demo to No Face Records, and
Right.
Max.
Shout out
He's
Max Vangeli. Yeah.
and yeah, definitely wouldn't be here without him,
Uh
and
huh.
was a great support. So that's how I got introduced to the producer community.
Mm
And 2022 mid, I had my first signed release with No Face. Shout out to Luan for giving me this chance, where he
hmm.
collabed with me on a Latin house record, and that
Right.
was like my first release, and that gave me the confidence to keep going. So
Right.
currently, I'm basically producing music, going for my masters, and a big fan of mental health, spirituality, all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, that's great. So, like, well, why don't we? I mean, how does that happen? Like, I mean, I mean, 2017, you make the decision to come over here to the U.S. So, I mean, what was it like, in Pakistan at that time? And then how did you make that happen? How did you make the transition?
Sure, absolutely. I would say so because I went to a private school in Pakistan, so I studied English growing up, right? So
Okay.
that transition wasn't too hard for me, and
Okay.
I went through a British education system, so it was like very easy to adjust language wise when I came here.
Sure. Right.
And especially my city, it's a very back home, it's a very safe city, very good city, but
Sure.
there were the quality of education and the whole political space and being a minority in the country, I had to like uh, give them a like visit here to study so I can take a little bit break from that. And now the
Mm-hmm.
situation is pretty good back home, so I
Right.
basically took that break during that government time, came to study here. And when I saw, because I was traveling a lot, I'm an explorer by heart. I like to meet different
Sure.
people, different places.
Right.
So so I basically ended up coming here very spontaneously. And
Mm-hmm.
then basically my first, I would say, was the culture, getting
Right.
accustomed to the
Hey, I
culture.
got a question for you real quick. Where were you going to school in the UK?
Oh no! So I was going to school back home in Pakistan, but our
Okay.
private school system used the British education system.
Ah,
So
got
it's
it. Got it.
sponsored
Got
by
it.
the British colleges.
Right. Well, because I know a lot of people, like I have a friend from Greece who
Hmm.
actually went to college in Yorktown, which
Yeah,
is in the UK. So I didn't know if you actually started to go to school there and then decided to make the move to the US or whatever. But so now I get it.
yeah,
Now I
definitely.
understand.
But yeah, then basically over here, traveling a lot. So I'm very adaptable as a person, so it was very easy for me to adapt to different countries.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things which I'm like super proud of, and
Mm-hmm.
something I suggest other foreign students who are coming to the US always stay on campus because
Right.
they always avoid it, and that's where you're actually gonna get a hold of the culture. You're gonna meet some local friends. You're gonna meet people from different cities. Some are from big cities, some are from small towns. So it will be a great exposure for you when you're basically new in a country.
Right, yeah. Well, so what was the biggest like coming over here fresh? What was you see all the content on the internet from, everybody at Walmart and Costco and all
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. So what was your first impression when you actually got here? Were you like overwhelmed or were you like a kid in a candy store or how was your head when you came over?
So I would say my first couple years were a lot of excitement. Like it was
Mhm.
like anytime you move to a new country, there's a lot to do, a lot of people to meet, new things to try. So that was
Mhm.
like a very good experience. I'd say it started changing after COVID because that was a time a lot of us had to actually really sit with ourselves, and
Sure.
that was a time where I would say I started watching a lot of content on Instagram, YouTube, and I would say the overwhelming part for me generally was going over that content. And I'm not sure if it's like a US thing because it's
Mhm.
slowly growing in my country too, but it's kind of like where you are always told to go, go, go and not take a break, not slow
Mhm.
down. So
Right.
that was like the most overwhelming part because I went in that phase for a couple of years where I was just hustle, hustle, hustle all the time, and
Right.
no time for relationships, no time for things you actually like to do. And
Mhm.
I would say definitely there were repercussions for it,
Okay.
which uh, I don't regret that phase because I got to grow a lot as a person. But
Hmm.
I would say there's definitely a sweet spot of it. You know,
Sure, but like a balance between life and work.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I would say, yeah, there are certain times where there won't be a balance, and that's okay. But if it's
Right.
like a very long term strategy, it's not
Well,
sustainable.
yeah, walk us through that. Like, what was it like, and then when did you realize, what were you doing, and what was when did you experience your burnout?
Yeah, definitely. So, uh, this was back in 2022 when I moved to LA. So, this was
Okay.
in COVID, it wasn't rubbing off on that me because I
Right.
was like,
Now I have a question real quick. So
hmm,
when you went to college, where
hmm.
was the college?
So,
Was it
this
in
was in
LA?
Fresno, California.
Oh, Fresno. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So you were in Fresno,
Mhm.
and then that was your first experience, and then 2022. Was that after you graduated that you
Yeah.
decided to move down to LA?
Yeah. Because I was like, you know what? I need a change. I want to move to a
Well,
bigger city.
that's a culture shock in itself,
Mhm.
going from Fresno to LA right there.
Luckily, when I moved to LA, I had friends here, so shout
Okay.
out to Tivo. Tivo was in LA, so I got a lot of chance to.
Oh, nice. Okay. Shout out TiVo. Yeah.
That was LA was like a very different ballpark because when you're in a big city, there is outside the pressure you're putting on yourself from the content itself.
Mm-hmm.
There's already a lot of pressure to be in the city in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times we don't realize that, and we're just adding it, adding it, adding it. So I'll give you a few examples, right?
Okay.
So there is because I was working in a big company, corporate. There's
Mm-hmm.
deadlines you have to meet over there, which
Right.
is a certain way to do. Like you have to meet them in a certain way, right? And then you have other pressures like, okay, you gotta have your physique dialed in, you gotta have all this sorted out, which
Sure.
is which is very good to be pursuing, right?
Right.
But when you become too rigid on it, which I had become, like if I eat an ice cream with friends, I'm beating myself up for it for 2 hours. I
Right.
eat that, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So I think it was that phase where I start slowly burning myself up, and
Okay.
this was in 2023 when I realized, okay, like first my first sign was I started losing a lot of friends who I was close with. So I was like,
Right.
okay, now what's happening over here, right? So instead of seeing it as okay, my friends are leaving me, take responsibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not nourishing those relationships, and
Sure.
whenever I have free time, I'm adding more stuff to do. So this was, and then your physical body is also already taking a toll because sometimes you
Right.
really have to skimp on sleep to get a few things done.
Sure. Well,
And
and I gotta say, like, don't you? You probably put a lot of pressure on yourself just coming over here. It's like, you feel like, you have to execute the
mhm,
American dream, so to speak,
right.
perfectly for everybody back home.
Mhm. Yeah,
Did you
that's
feel any of
definitely.
that?
Yeah, it's definitely like I'm like very fortunate because I do have very supportive parents, and I don't have
Mm-hmm.
much pressure on that regards.
Right.
But the whole pressure of being a perfectionist and then
Ah,
adding a bunch of content on it, which is expecting you to be a perfectionist.
sure.
So that was kind of now I'll clear this out. It's a lot of times it's not the content itself or not the content creator. A lot of times it's the person who is how it the person is interpreting it.
Mm-hmm.
So generally, I'm more of a person who's a little anxious at times, on edge.
Okay.
So me watching the content just amps it up. So
Okay.
that's where you kind of have to see yourself as a person. Okay,
So you start comparing yourself to how somebody else is presenting,
right,
and
right.
then it starts getting in your head a little bit.
Hmm.
And I get that because, like I say, there's like a healthy boundary you have to set of I look at like the internet and all that as I call it lovingly
Yeah.
propaganda, you
Hmm.
know, and it's such a big part of being a successful DJ or producer. I think, sometimes people are so concentrated on how they present. When I'm just like, I try to be authentic and be
Mhm.
myself and not present with something, that I'm not. And with production, I also, uh, you know, I do it because I love it,
Mhm.
because it satisfies me. And that's really the main thing. Because if I didn't, then why am I doing this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like with production, this is like, I don't know if you ever felt this way. Like sometimes you produce a track and
Mm-hmm.
that track did good.
Yeah,
Now you're kind of putting pressure on yourself, like you have to make something like that again. And
sure.
you try it slowly, and then you're
Of
like, okay,
course.
you know what? I can't make this right now. Like that track was made on the spot, and
Yeah.
I now if I'm trying to create it, it's not. So something I've learned over the time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there's something called a state or a feeling. Be it happiness,
Mm-hmm.
be it flow state, be it you feeling at peace. Personally, from experience, I don't know, it might be different for people, but my personal experience has been the moment you start chasing that state, it just runs more farther from you. And
Yeah.
it comes when you're not expecting it, when you're just kind of in this state of acceptance, like whatever happens, happens.
Sure.
And and I agree with a lot of big producers too, which are like very focused on brand because it's kind of the landscape at the moment. Your
Yeah.
brand matters, but again, coming to that point, not getting rigid on it and leaving yourself room for flexibility, and that
Right.
really.
Yeah. And I think a big part of it is also not putting overwhelming expectations on yourself, because you can, like, if you start comparing yourself to people, you're like, why is that guy doing good? Why am I not where that person is at? And it's just definitely one of those things that you have to just do it do it because you love it, and then the rest will happen naturally. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like I was watching this clip somewhere, and he was really explaining how anything approached with love and acceptance,
Mm-hmm.
it might not be the perfect thing, but people are just it makes people feel a certain type of way, right?
Right.
Where you're coming from an agitated energy, it's going to rub off on the other people. So
Sure.
this is something I really keep in mind at some point where
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to produce and I'm going in this comparison or perfectionism frame, and I'm like, okay, let's dial it back down. What do I
Right.
really want to do on this record right now? Like if
Mm-hmm.
I was never going to release this record, would I actually do on this?
Right.
And I think that's the point where your own uniqueness comes in. And
Sure.
I'm not gonna say I'm the most perfect at it, but that's something
Well,
I've been.
you're very good. So, like, and I mean, that's kind of what, what made me notice you was, like, I heard some of your tracks and they were very good. And I was like, this guy's got his shit together.
Yeah,
I
thank you,
was like,
man.
he sounds
Appreciate
like,
it.
yeah. And it's funny that you said that, because I agree that nobody is going to paint like you and nobody's going to paint like me. You could give us the same exact samples to work with, and it would be completely different. And that's the beauty of music, because to me, music is art, and then art is subjective. So what's beautiful to you, you know?
That's kind of how it's. That's kind of where my take is with AI in music, right? Like, an AI can make you a good set of chords, but it
Yeah.
can't really put what you're thinking in a record.
Mhm.
Like the track's gonna be the same, and even with writing, right? I don't know if you ever tried writing an email with AI, and you're going over it, and you're like, it just sounds generic. It doesn't sound like me. So
Right. Yeah.
it's that's kind of
Whenever I do that, I'm like, man, that sounds a lot better than me. you know,
that's
I
true,
would,
but
I do, because I do full on the descriptions for this episode, for these
mm,
episodes on here. I always, but I put in the important bullet points, and then I'll just have it structure it for me. So, it saves me a lot of brain and grammatical errors. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it
So,
I think it depends on the person if you really like writing or no. Like
yeah,
I'm
sure.
generally a person who likes writing, and
Hmm.
whenever I start writing with AI, I'm like, okay, I gotta dial it back down and just try writing some things myself, because I enjoy
Right,
the process of it. But I know people who find writing very tedious, and that's okay. You have a tool
right.
on your hand, make the best of it.
Right. Well, I'm like I would rather spend that bandwidth, you know, in front of Ableton than
Yeah,
actually, writing writing out. That's never been one of my strong suits is the articulation and putting pen to paper, so to speak.
it's a normal thing. We
Yeah.
all can't be good at everything. So
Well,
yeah.
and then the same thing like with public speaking, man. I mean, that's another thing that you know, I still struggle with. Like, I mean, it's okay if you and I are talking, but if you put me in front of a room of like 20 people, then I'm like, I start getting rushed, I lose my train of thought and all that kind of stuff. But it's just it's that whole learning to be zen and
Yeah,
just
exactly.
accepting life on life's terms, and being aware that most everybody is rooting for you and
Mhm.
not against you. They want you to succeed. And I think if you believe that the universe wants you to succeed, you will succeed. It's just like, also, like, if you're like if you think you're a bad person, then you will manifest that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's the way I see it. Like, imagine public speaking, right? I don't know if you've ever felt this way. Sometimes you go on a public speaking show or someone's public speaking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're too perfect,
Right.
and you're like they're just super good at it, and you're kind
It
of
seems
getting
fake. It doesn't
good.
seem
Do
sincere. Yeah.
I trust that person? Whereas I've been on public speaking events where the speaker wasn't the perfect. He was fumbling. He was making mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I agree that he lost the audience sometimes, but I also
Mm-hmm.
feel like when they were greeting the speaker,
Mm-hmm.
they a lot of people were not really afraid to go greet him because he just sounded more relatable in a way.
Sure. Right.
So yeah, that's definitely something I've observed. It's
Yeah.
sometimes you're not being good at something can be your superpower. You never know.
Yeah. Well, and the want to become better at it,
Yeah.
and living, in the discomfort, in the
Mhm.
discomfort of that moment, you learn.
Right. Yeah.
Or at least I think. But hey, let's cut to commercial, and we'll be right back.
Are you an old fool who's so cool like us? Funky Gold is a network of skilled and hardworking DFW DJs over 40. We gather to create a mutually supportive environment for all members who are doing big things. Our DJs are leaders in the community who bring special skills and opportunities to share. We strive for professionalism in the music business, and we have hearts of gold. Not to mention we have the coolest swag and the funkiest headquarters. If you're interested in learning more about joining the crew, connect with us on Instagram, YouTube, or Gmail at Funky Gold Network.
All right, and that is our new sponsor, Funky Gold Network. Love those guys, love that crew. Be sure to look them up. Also, we've got some new music out, and here it is.
Hey, new phone, who this? I'ma pull up in a brand new whip. You go try me, that's real stupid. I'ma pull up in a brand new whip.
All right, and that is actually the new track I have out on Moody Recordings, which I'm super excited about. That just came out today, as a matter of fact. Be sure and follow on Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. And while you're there, follow the podcast. It's called This Pink Cloud. And then also I have a playlist called This is Kelly Reverb, where I keep all the stuff current. So if you get a chance, please follow and listen. But anyway, so as we were talking about mental health, I think was kind of the focus on this. And I mean, you've had a lot of struggle. So let's pick up with, what you were talking about.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I would say, like I've mentioned earlier, right? A lot of times things we're not good at, and sometimes you just have to kind of adopt a growth mindset and accept it. If
Right.
you,
Was there, I
you know,
mean, was there anything in particular that comes to mind for you?
I would say generally, when it comes to music, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm someone who's inspired by a lot of artists like Mark Knight, and then you have artists like Robbie Rivera, you have David
Of
Tort,
course.
like that kind of style.
I
But
love how you said David Tort's one of my favorites. Low
yeah,
key.
he's
Yeah, he's
I love his record label. Very good
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah. Well, Hotel and now Motel. I love that he's
Mhm.
actually branching out and letting, because Hotel was kind of just, it was more Latin influenced. And
Right.
then I love the fact that Motel, like he can let his freak flag fly, so to
Yeah.
speak,
Yeah.
and kind of open up. And that's kind of how I am with that's the beauty of having your own label, is just you don't have to just stick in one lane, because you don't always feel that every day. You don't always feel like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm going to make something Latin today.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Sometimes
definitely
you just
challenging.
want to make some old school
Mhm.
disco.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, his stuff is great.
Yeah.
And something what would happen with me. So here's the thing, tricky thing about perfectionism, right? A
Uh-huh.
lot of times we assume it's in one area, but it's like a trait which seeps into multiple areas.
Yeah.
So, for example, I'll give you one example, right? Like when I would produce a track and something Latin, tribal, tech house, and now I'm comparing myself to David Tort,
Yeah.
not realizing he has probably 10 plus years experience
Right.
releasing like music and DJing. So that's that's the point where you kind of have to notice, like, okay, I may not be there yet, but I can
Mm-hmm.
get there if I put in the work, consistency, right?
Sure.
And just that acceptance factor. And
Right.
the good thing with acceptance factor is it makes you more open to learn. Like,
Right.
you're not going to be rigid in your own ways, and you're more open to feedback. You're more open to, okay, how do I take this to the next level? Right.
Right. Now, I got
And
a question for you as far as perfectionism. Do you find that it can be crippling at sometimes, because I have friends
mhm,
that will just think it has to be like a demo has to be perfect. And I'm like, well, it's not necessarily the case, because, a lot of times the label wants to do the master,
mhm.
or they'll send it and they'll do the mix down and master. A lot of times I find that where it like almost stifles you, because you think you have to already be, you know, 100% done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so something I learned from Max again. Shout out to
Mm-hmm.
Max and Kelly
Yeah.
is he basically like now this is something that made me more consistent in producing music, whereas
Okay.
before I would really just kind of stay stuck on one track for a long time.
Right.
Is give it. He told me like give it a day or something, and then just leave it.
Mm-hmm.
I usually give it a week, and whatever I have in a week, I'll put it in a SoundCloud folder of all
Mm-hmm.
the tracks, and then consult other DJs like, okay, which track should I finish on next, or which track should I work on more. A
Right.
lot of times, I was surprised, like they tell me the track is already done. You don't need to,
Yeah,
like,
right.
good to
Exactly,
go.
dude.
So
That's what I tell. I have a friend, and I tell him that all the time. I'm like, look, you played it in front of a crowd. It rocked. It
mhm,
sounded as good as the other records that aren't yours.
mhm,
So, when is done? You know what I mean? When are you truly finished? And it's like, I think a lot of that might come from fear, like a fear of rejection,
mhm.
because that's a tough part. In this business, we have to learn to hear not for us. I
Mm.
make a joke that I said I'm going to get a not for us tattoo,
Yeah.
because it's just like, but that's the thing, like with having your own label, you don't have anybody to answer to, and you can be growing your fan base while you're getting all those not for us's.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's my track stack's filled with not for us, and I think that's
Oh
totally
yeah,
okay. Everyone
yeah.
goes through it. I would say in my case, perfectionism was less about fear of rejection because I'm very like cool with rejection. It
Okay.
was more about fear of judgment, which
Yeah.
is like a nuanced, different thing in a way. Where
Right.
okay, what if I play this track in the club and no one dances? It's kind of like
Right.
oh shit. So
Yeah.
I'm way better at it now than I
Right.
was
Well,
last year.
that's a little bit of fear,
Hmm.
I mean, to me, because you're afraid of, like, oh, what if they don't dance?
Hmm.
What if my track clears the floor? You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Because I've seen that happen in the
Yeah.
clubs, right? Like sometimes DJ mixes in a track and he just lost the crowd right there, just kind of like.
Sure. It
But uh,
happens. You're right.
something is, it's like at the end of the day, if not everyone has to like your track,
Mm-hmm.
if I would say there's a 50-50 here, it's a good thing to put out a good track which people like.
Right.
Again, keep it in a middle ground where you kind of also produce something which you want to actually produce. And
Yeah. Play. Yeah. I say produce something you'd play.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You said it perfectly.
And that's the biggest kind of, I guess, high to me is when I do play one of my tracks,
Hmm.
and I get to see that finished product,
Hmm.
or either that or even another DJ is playing one of my tracks and people are going off to it. I'm just like, well, cool. It's just like, it's that validation that we all look for.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
I think, as producers and just as humans, period, we all look for some type of acceptance, and we
Hmm.
want to feel like we belong, and we want to feel like we have, somewhat of a purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like we're social creatures, anyways, and at the end of the day, no matter how much we try to deny it, and in the space of ego, that okay, I don't need anyone. We always
Right.
need love and belonging, and the sooner we accept it, the sooner you're gonna show up better in the world. I would say.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I agree. So, I mean, is there any advice that you would offer, upcoming producers and, maybe mental health wise?
Yeah, definitely. My advice would be is more so build self trust.
Hmm.
And I'll give you a little story with it that kind of
Okay.
goes with it. So this year in 2025, right in January,
Hmm.
I had changed the kind of content I was watching. Already where I was watching more spirituality, more like relaxed content. And 2025 January, I decided, okay, I'm not gonna read any more books. I'm not gonna watch any more content. I'm just gonna keep my YouTube away and let's see how it goes.
Hmm.
So, first 4 or 5 months were very hard because we're so used to seeking an answer outside of us.
Oh yeah.
It's
Well,
like, okay, I
we're
deliver.
constantly.
Like
Oh,
in
how many likes do I have?
mm,
Oh, that one's not performing that well. Yeah.
and even if you have like very existential questions in life,
Mm.
okay, what's the meaning of life? What am I supposed to do? You're gonna seek it
Yeah.
outward, right? So for first 4 or 5 months, it was insane. Like I noticed how much I'm addicted to just uh, like seeking answers outside, and then it slowly shifted to more self trust, where I noticed self trust and confidence isn't about really not making a mistake. It's about
Hmm.
realizing you can make a mistake and you'll be fine afterwards. Like it's not a big deal.
Sure.
So it was kind of, I would say, start little and see you in areas where you can build more self trust. Like,
Right.
okay, sometimes you want to pick a kick for your track, and sometimes
Right.
just Don't go on YouTube. Figure out which kick you want to pick out.
Right. Well, I
You
would
can-
I would suggest advertisement. Get the Kick 3 plug-in, and then you
uh,
can replace any kick you want
yeah, there's a
with.
you
But
can
that's
always.
free advertisement right
Mhm.
there. But one of my favorite quotes. It's kind of what you were saying. Kind of reminded me of it. I wanted to get it correct, but it's Winston Churchill, and he says, "Success is going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm."
Exactly.
Yeah, and I love that quote because it's just like, yeah, I mean, it's just as long as you have the enthusiasm and the want to do it, and the want to fail and be okay with failing. And I mean, what is failure? Okay, well, if that track doesn't do as good as this track, I mean, is that failure or is that a step towards the end goal of success? You know what I mean?
Right. It's just at the end of the day, small decisions where, and I would also say like on the different side of the spectrum, right? Especially in the mental health therapy space. Something I've noticed and something I've done it a lot of times is right. We get too much involved in the feelings part of things where
Mm,
sometimes it is just a matter of courage, just take
right.
that step and see what happens. You don't have to feel good before starting it. You can just start it and see what happens.
Yeah.
So it's ideally, I would say, just aim for that middle ground where you're not super hustle and super feeling. You're kind of in the sweet spot. The way I see it,
Mhm.
these are not two different things. These are things which complement each other, right?
Okay.
It's like your logical brain, emotional brain. Like, I'm not a psychologist, but I would say something I've noticed in my personal life is like, it's a lot of times I feel like it's complementing each other, the feeling and the logical part, whereas they're not against each other, right? It's not one or
Right.
the other. So
Sure.
making peace with both of them, and sometimes, when you need logic, go with logic. When you need feeling, go with feeling, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get it. So then, like, I mean, where are you? Like, so you're getting your master's currently, right?
Yeah.
So, and what is your master's going to be in?
Computer science.
Okay.
So
Cool. And
that's kind of my main career, and music
sure.
is something. So the reason why I do not like at this stage of life why I'm not doing music full time is there was a phase in my life where 3 months I did not have much work at the office, right? So I'm producing music 3 months straight,
Right.
and I feel like I'm more passionate about music in a way where I get off work and I'm like super excited to produce in a way.
Right. Yeah.
And slowly, as I got experience, I start getting better at my job. And
Right.
I'm like, okay, I really like this too. I don't really dread my job. I don't really dread my degree. I really like doing it. So
Sure.
I'm able to
Which
manage
is
it.
super important, by the
Yeah.
way. You want to enjoy whatever you're doing, whatever you're allocating your time towards, even if it's working for a company. I mean, you want to make sure that you enjoy what you're doing for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like very fortunate in terms of companies, like great support, great culture, and the work was very meaningful.
Hmm.
It's that kind of thing is like, it's very fortunate when people actually like their job and then also like the hobbies they're doing.
Hmm.
And a lot of times you have to train it too, like
Hmm.
realizing that, okay, maybe I don't like my job right now because I'm not good at it, but I learned this, that more uh, smaller wins I accumulated, I actually start liking it. So,
Right. Well, and that's the same thing with production. I mean, you're not automatically boom good, unless you have somebody ghost producing for you.
yeah,
but the thing is, but that's the thing that you put the time in, and it's cool that you can see the progress,
right.
when you're writing and stuff like that. And I noticed that it can be a lot of pressure to succeed quickly,
Mhm.
but it's sometimes it's the journey that matters more.
Yeah, absolutely. It's because the thing with the journey is you're gonna have ups and downs, and every up and down is gonna teach you something. Which
Hmm.
the success is the byproduct in a way, not the goal.
Yeah.
And something I've noticed actually, like this was like a very great mental shift for me. Right, a
Hmm.
lot of artists we see, okay, like blew up very fast, right? And like I'll give you an example for Maupi when his track "Drugs from Amsterdam" came out, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like first release, it's like almost 100 like million streams or something.
Sure.
And later I found out that okay, he's been releasing as Maurice West, which has been a project for a long time.
Yeah. And I think that's important that you point that out because when he came on the scene, like how long had he been producing prior to that? Because I knew that about him. I was like, oh, this guy, has been in the game for a while and has some skin in the game, but he just rebranded as Mal P, and
Yeah,
Mal P ended up taking off. So how long was he producing prior to that? Do you know?
I don't exactly remember, but
Right.
this was I because I've heard his track every time we the remix, Cascada
Mm-hmm.
remix. I'm not
Sure.
really, but that because that was like a very hit record, and he
Right.
had some very big room festival releases, which I used to listen to back in 2015, 16, a while back.
Okay, yeah. So
Uh,
he's been in the game for a long time,
Very
and
long
nobody,
time.
somebody, just looking at him doesn't necessarily do the math of like, hey,
Mm.
man, this guy's been grinding for years, and you just didn't know about it. It's kind of funny. Um, I have a friend that's from Dallas. You probably heard of Maceo Plex, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So he's from Dallas,
Mm.
but it just so happened that one of his incarnations, so to speak, or personas was Maceo Plex, and then that one took off for him. So then, of course, you lean into that. But it's funny that it's not just always, hey, I'm going to be this guy, and then all of a sudden that guy's a success.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, exactly. It's and I've Maupi looks like a very great guy to listen to. So sometimes I would hop on like watch a podcast of him with Will Clark. That was a very good one.
right,
And he really emphasized on the journey part of the things and really being authentic when it comes to music. So
sure.
that was a great watch. That was definitely a great watch.
Right. Yeah. And another thing is just do it because you love it, man. I mean, I say, because there was a long time that I took of where I wasn't, producing in the studio because I wasn't comfortable on the DAW and
Mm,
everything like that. But then once I started becoming more proficient, then I was like, oh man, something had been missing, and it was the expression. It
yeah.
was the art, and that's the thing. Like and then also to something you said earlier, um, as far as a healthy balance, I'll write a track, or I'll be writing a track, and I'll do something, and then I'll walk away for like a couple hours, and
Mm,
then I'll come back and I'll be like, oh, well, yeah, that was it. That's it. Because then, you give a little bit of a window. And then also, as far as production, I don't put in, there's no, I mean, even though I do have a little bit of an assembly line going on, like my goal is to do one track a month, have one release every month. Um, the thing is I take months off of producing.
mm.
So, where I'm like, okay, cool. Let's focus on getting these signed. And then, I'll have fresh legs when I come back in the studio. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like this is something I still struggle with a little bit is like taking a break in music. I would take
Hmm.
it like a month and then kind of hop back in.
Right.
But I do feel like I know you're kind of in this, like, I know you produce music very authentically, but I don't know if you do it consciously or no. But I feel like Kelly Reverb as a brand, if I listen
Right.
to your record, I know it's you.
Right.
You
Right.
have a very, in a way, very jacking house drums, and then you have a very, especially your records with Chad, you have a very distinct bass lines. Like
Sure.
if I listen to it, I'm like, okay, sounds like Ellie.
Right. Well, that's good. But and the cool thing is like now, um, as far as production, I try to just do what I like, and I don't like to just do one. I don't like to do just tech house. I love new disco. I mean,
Mhm.
I want to be able to play, you know, a pool party, with Scotty Boy, and then I want to, like I got to play with Hatteras, and
Mhm.
that was really cool because it wasn't like it wasn't like a night and day vibe. It was just like, oh, cool, it just like it sounded uh like it belonged together when we did play in Miami. But then I also like the option of being able to shift that gear and being able to go play at Amnesia in Ibiza with Art back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I love that, and I guess it is. I guess my personality or whoever I am as an artist, comes through in every track, regardless of the genre.
Yeah, I feel
You
like
know,
you can't really hide your Midas touch in a way. It's gonna
right,
touch the track you touch, at the end of the day.
right.
Even if you're not trying to, if you're trying to make something really different, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example. I was making a hard techno record, like
Mm-hmm.
just for fun. I'm not gonna release that record,
Right.
and I show it to a producer friend, and when the break of the song comes in, and he's like, "I know you produced it, even though that track doesn't have my name on it."
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I know you produced it because I have this tendency to always add rolling percussions in the break.
Sure.
And I didn't even notice it, but he's like, okay, I've heard a few of your tracks. You do this all the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
like
That's
that's kind of,
that's your move.
yeah, it's kind of like we all have a move, we're gonna do it
Right.
unconsciously, and
Yeah. Well,
that's for
I
me.
do that. I do that like where I'll like there'll be a couple of songs where I use sirens in them, and then
Mhm,
there'll be a couple of songs where I roll a clap a certain way.
mhm.
But then, like, my friends that are listening, they're like, "Oh, you just did that in your last song," And I'm like, "But in the landscape of things, unless you're really, really focused in paying attention, you're not gonna notice." But
Yeah.
I'll listen to stuff and I'll go, "Oh yeah, that was my like rolling clap phase."
Mhm.
Or I just decided to, that was my go-to move for a short period.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. When I started producing my first year, I
Hmm.
found this laser sample from a noise pack which I put in every record, and I was
Right,
like, now I
right.
look back, I'm like, okay, why was I putting a laser on a tribal tech house record? Like, what was?
Sure. Right.
Because I
That's
just like
fun.
the laser. I
That's
want.
funny that you said that. I've made fun of that because I don't know, to my audience that might not know this. There's Splice and Noizu has sample packs. So I want to go, dude. I don't really. I want to whenever I meet him. I don't really like your music, but man, that kick, dude. That's my favorite, dude. Or it's that hi hat, dude. That's my favorite.
Yeah, still uses
It's funny.
downlifter every record. Every
Yeah.
record I uses downlifters. They're like, I feel like best on Splice for my kind
Yeah.
of music. So it's,
Hmm.
yeah. But yeah, there's
Yeah.
some gems in Splice for sure.
Right. Well, so any advice you can give to, maybe people coming into the U.S. Or new producers or whatever you want. We've got about 10 minutes, so.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would say if you're coming new to the US, keep an
Hmm.
open mind. Try to
Hmm.
meet as many people as you can. And I know the current landscape of the US, it's very easy for a new person to get lost in this political space. But
Sure.
just remember, be it on the right, left, they're all people at the end of the day. And
Yeah.
they have the best intentions and they're
Right.
trying to do good and probably protect their family in their worldview and protect their
Right.
beliefs. Make sure they show up for the better. So be open minded,
Yeah.
talk to
You
everyone.
never know. You never know what somebody else is going through.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So it's very easy to pass judgments, but we never know, So
Yeah.
it's
Sure.
always a good idea to meet everyone you can explore. It's a great country to explore,
Mm,
and stay out of echo chambers. That's definitely one thing. Don't always try to expand as much as you can mentally in a place where when even when it comes to music, right, you are gonna be sometimes if you're just making one style, you can get stuck in an echo chamber for too long.
mm-hmm.
And yesterday, I'll give you an example. I wasn't getting inspired, so I went on a drive, listened to some country music, and I'm like, okay, I want to remix this track. So Just
Right.
hopped on the DAW for 3 hours, and I remixed the track.
Right.
So
I'm gonna have to check it out. I know you sent it to me, so
yeah, I just finished it
yeah.
10 minutes before we joined the call.
Right. Okay.
Well, just fun fact, guys, I slept 3 hours yesterday because I was so hooked on this track. I was like, one more kick and I'm gonna go to sleep. One more arrangement.
Right. Yeah.
I checked the time; it's 6 a.m.
Well, and that's the thing, like, that's kind of great about production and painting and creating is that you'll just be in a zone, and it's like a meditation, and you're just like 6 hours later. And, and then you have a finished product, or you've done a lot, but then you just didn't realize it was like a time warp. It was
Yeah,
just like it was like time standing still, linear time. And you're just like, oh wow, the sun's coming up. It's time to go to bed.
yeah, and
That
I'm
kind
like,
of
dude, I
thing.
gotta be up at 9, so I woke up at 9, 3 hours, grabbed myself some coffee, and I'm like, you know what,
Right,
I want to work on this track a little bit more, and that's kind
right.
of yeah, spontaneous. And one of the things I would definitely tell people: be more spontaneous. The
Yeah,
best memories or the best ideas come randomly. It's not a lot of times. It's not when you're looking for them. They're just gonna show
right.
up. And you're in the
Right.
moment.
It's a little like, have you ever seen the movie Yes Man with Jim
I have not.
Carrey?
I don't watch
Uh,
much movies, but I would love to know.
Well, there's a movie called Yes Man, and it's
Mhm.
basically like he has to say yes to everything. Like he's been hypnotized to say yes to everything. And I
Mhm.
notice when I say yes to a lot more things, uh, you know, m- great things come out of it.
Right.
Like that. Normally, if I was just guarded and in my little, box and didn't interact with anybody, it's amazing, what can happen from just a little left turn that you wouldn't normally do, you know?
Yeah, that's how it goes, and it's always spontaneity and art. It goes well together.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, I wish you luck on your masters. How much longer do you have on your
I still
masters?
got a few months left,
Okay.
and
All right.
about to graduate, and we'll see where the journey takes us.
Yeah, and then so are you going, yeah, do you plan on staying here in the US, or what's your career goals? Like your
Career goals.
day job goals.
At this point, I would say, because I'm currently learning computer science, so definitely, because I switched my field in computer science. I used to be a full stack engineer. Now I'm trying towards data science. So definitely, like, learn some more in a job environment about that.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
I'm taking it day at a time. I'm not thinking too ahead. We'll see where life takes us. And
Right.
this stage of life, especially this year, I've really learned to really like waking up in the morning and just looking at the day. What do you have to
Right.
get done today? Really helped me from not overthinking too much. So yeah,
Sure.
keeping it
Yeah, just
spontaneous.
I like to say like digestible bites.
Right,
You
right.
know what I mean? Just like don't look at don't look at the finish line that's 20 miles away. Look at, the steps you have to take today to get to there.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Small steps they add up.
Yeah. Well, I applaud. I'm a fan of your production, and we are going to do that collab one day. So,
Oh yeah,
I think you've, for somebody who hasn't been producing for a super long time, I think you've got a definite talent.
great.
So,
Thank you. Appreciate
yeah,
that.
yeah, and
You
I mean,
know,
because I've heard a lot of music, and
mm,
some people, it comes naturally,
right.
and I can tell that for you, it does.
Yeah, definitely. In some ideas, in a idea kind of way, I would say it's very natural. Like I get an idea pretty spontaneously, and then
Hmm.
sometimes just making it a full track, dude, that's a struggle sometimes. But
Sure.
I've
Right.
found my ways to be effective at it. But
Yeah.
hey, I'm waiting for the Kelly Reverb drums on our collab. I'm looking forward.
Oh, now you've put expectations on me. It's my drums that you want.
Yeah, your drums are fire, So
Ah, well, I appreciate it, man. Well, and I love your production as well. And, I wish you luck on your master's degree, and then obviously on the production as well. I think I see a bright future for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And,
Yeah.
keep doing what you're doing. It's a pleasure talking to you. We'll stay in
Yeah.
touch, of course.
Yeah. Okay. And then I also like to give the guest a chance to shout anybody out that they'd like to at the end of the episode. So shout away.
Yeah, I'd say like I've already given a shout out to DJ Stevie who got me
Mhm.
into music production. Thank you. Shout out to Tivo being a great support, going to all the shows with me and introducing me to Tool Room Records, which really changed the direction of music I made. And then
Right.
shout out to Max Vangeli, wouldn't be here without him. And
Nice.
especially another shout out to Marcus Martinez.
Oh
He
yeah.
usually does give me advice on the last 20% tweaks.
Right. Nice.
I don't know if you've heard a lot of my tracks are collab with Kendrew, so shout out to him too.
Okay.
He always puts his touch on a track, which just keeps me sending him more stuff.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize that, but I love to like, I stay out. I try to, I mean, I get the track as close as I can,
Hmm.
but then it's just like there's people or AI that can do mastering better than me. And I think honestly, to be honest, and what I found throughout my journey is 95% of it is the mix down.
Right,
And then
right.
the mastering is just a window dressing. So, but it took me, a lot of trial and error to figure that
Hmm.
out. But yeah, but it's one of those things. It's a beautiful life and it's a beautiful journey. Just how you perceive life. If you have a positive mental attitude and you're curious and a good person, I think good things will happen for you.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
yeah, thank you for your time. Appreciate that.
Well, yeah, thanks for coming on. Be sure and subscribe. We're on everywhere, Spotify, YouTube, all that good stuff. And then we'll be back next week. But remember, kids, there is no magic pill for sobriety because if there was, we would all take too many.
Activate.